Hi guys, welcome to your screencast for tomorrow's lesson. It's going to be on the responses of the muscular system to exercise. So it's really important that we know the responses of the muscular system as well as adaptations. We need to know this for the cardiovascular system as well as the respiratory system as well. We need to know the adaptations with regard to the energy systems. So that's going to be the main focus before your exam, because that's going to be your kind of like 8 mark questions that you're going to be getting. So if we just go straight on to the actual topic at hand, responses of the muscular system. So responses of the muscular system, responses, short-term response. This is what happens when we start to exercise or we started to exercise. What responses do we get? Get them down, give it a go, pause this and give them a go. This is what we have. We get increased blood supply, increased muscle temperature, increased muscle pliability, increased lactate, microtears, delayed onset muscle soreness. We've all almost experienced some of these when it comes to us exercising and training. So the reason we do a warm-up is to get some of these going. So we do a warm-up to get kind of these three things happening to our muscular system. These three things tend to happen after exercise, or do happen after exercise, but it is a response to the actual exercise that we've taken part in. So we are going to kind of split them up and look at them in a three essentially. So response to the muscular system: increased blood supply, increased muscle temperature, increased muscle pliability. I just want you to fill in those blanks. You don't need to write out the whole thing, just read the whole thing, just fill in the blanks on a piece of paper. So for the first one, you just put the first blank, next one second blank, third one third blank, and so on. I'm going to go through it now anyway. So an increased blood supply is necessary at working muscles in an attempt to provide more oxygen to these areas. The redistribution is made possible through vasodilation. This is the widening of the blood vessels to increase blood flow. We should all know this. Okay, we start to exercise, our muscles need more energy so they can actually perform for longer at higher intensities. The way we get more oxygen there, more energy there, is through increasing our blood supply to that area. So what happens is the blood vessels at the muscles vasodilate. The blood vessels around our vital organs at the moment in time during exercise do not need it. They vasoconstrict, they narrow. Okay, that is why we get an increase in blood supply. What follows that increase in blood supply and the actual kind of exercise? What happens is we get an increase in muscle temperature. Our muscles increase in heat. This is because exercising, working produces heat. It produces heat by the breakdown of energy fuels such as fat, carbohydrates, and glycolysis and phosphocreatine. So, for example, phosphocreatine is broken down by creatine kinase. The spare phosphate joins ADP to make ATP. We have energy that produces heat. That's a waste product of it, heat. So heat is good though, because what heat does is it means our muscles kind of lengthen. Heat kind of comes then from heat we get pliability. This is why we do a warm up to get the blood flowing, i.e. this part, increase in blood supply, to get that increase in muscle temperature, so that we get increase in muscle pliability. Muscle pliability, think elasticity. The warming of muscles during activity increases muscle pliability, i.e. makes them more flexible. Pliable muscles are less likely to suffer from an injury. So it's really important for a sports performer to have pliable muscles, so they reduce the risk of injury. This happens because of an increase in muscle temperature, an increase in blood supply. Now we're going to go on to the next slide right now, and I want you to answer the question at hand for me. So once you see the question, once I've read it out, can you pause it for me, please? So one of the short-term responses is an increase in muscle pliability. Explain why there's an increased muscle pliability and explain how this affects Francis. Okay, this is 3 marks. This was from the paper in January. I'm going to show you, after you've had an attempt at this, the model answer from a student that got 3 marks. Okay, and see if your answer is similar to their mark. If you want to see a 1 mark answer, I'll bring that to lesson with me. So here we go. This is the answer. This would be due to the increased blood supply to the working muscles, which overall increases muscle temperature. The muscle temperature increases the pliability of the muscle as it allows them to extend more, and they are less tight. When they have more length, they are less likely to become injured. This is why it's important for Francis to warm up before any weight training or before any type of activity for that matter. So that is why there is an increase in muscle pliability, i.e. because of the blood supply and muscle temperature. And then I'll explain how this affects Francis. It affects him because it makes him or her, sorry, not so liable to injuries such as muscular strains, muscle pulls, because they're more pliable, they're more elastic, they're not going to strain as easily. Okay, so that's those 3 responses. We also need to look at the other 3: lactate, micro tears, and DOMS. So can you just look at those, fill in the blanks? Again, micro tears hasn't got much because I don't really want to focus on it too much. I just want to focus on responses and actual questions that are provided and with answers. So lactate build-up, this is the uncomfortable sensation in your muscles during high-intensity anaerobic exercise. This is caused by build-up of lactic acid. Now, we should know now, anaerobic exercise, we use the ATP-PC system, but that doesn't create lactic acid. We know that the lactate system, glycolysis system, that's another word for it, we know that that produces lactic acid. It produces lactic acid because glycogens are broken down by PFK into pyruvic acid. Pyruvic acid is then broken down into lactic acid without oxygen being present, i.e. anaerobic exercise. So that high intensity anaerobic exercise, 800 meters, 400 meters, that's going to cause a buildup of lactic acid. That's a response of the muscular system to exercise. Micro tears, another one. So when you're in the gym doing resistance training, lifting weights, your muscles are put under stress, and then this causes small micro tears of the muscle fibers. This is important though. This is really important because during rest and recovery, when we start taking our protein shakes that some of you take, and just natural proteins that occur in the body, amino acids, these repair the muscle, which makes the muscle stronger than before. It makes you stronger than before. It makes you more powerful. It makes you create more force because your muscle is stronger. So that's a response. Micro tears is a response, and it's important. Okay, so DOMS follows on from micro tears. We get micro tears from lifting heavy weights, and due to that strenuous exercise, we may experience tender and painful muscles up to 48 hours after exercise. This is called delayed onset of muscle soreness, and this is caused by the micro tears that we've experienced previously. Okay, so can you hopefully see how these two kind of link? And then this one links with regards to just kind of like an after effect of response to exercise, such as all three here, where the other ones are during exercise. It's really important we know these responses of the muscular system. Difficult question. I want you to answer this quickly, so it's worth 3 marks. Explain how the use of weighted lunges would improve Stephanie's high jump performance. How would weighted lunges improve? What are weighted lunges? What is the purpose of performing a weighted lunge? So, improves leg strength, which allows for more force to be generated to be able to jump higher when performing the high jump. Now, they would accept, okay, so when you're performing resistance training, your body and your muscles experience micro tears. These micro tears then rebuild via proteins that are eaten up by it, so it makes them build back stronger and bigger. Therefore, it's going to improve her strength, which allows for more force to be generated to be able to jump higher when performing the high jump. That's how you link that together. Next question I want you to give a go is 2 days after Stephanie's training session, she experiences delayed onset muscle soreness. State-wide Stephanie's training may cause DOMS. Hopefully you've got that from the previous slide and you're kind of understanding all of this and you're getting it together. The reason is because micro tears from the training causes DOMS. It causes that pain and that fatigue, and it's as simple as that. It's only worth 1 mark. If it was worth 2 marks, you might have to go into a bit more detail talking about the fact that DOMS comes 24 to 48 hours after taking part in strenuous exercise. The soreness usually occurs at least a day after exercise and can last up to 3 days, and so on. It's caused by the micro tears and so on. So that's what I want you to get down for responses. We're going to do a bit more on the table with regards to some questions and questions. If you need teaching around this, I'm going to be around for you to kind of hopefully to help you out if you're really struggling with this. And then we're going to go on to adaptations as well. Okay, thank you. Bye.